literally, I'm kind of scared that if I keep my hair the way it is and I decide to grow my beard out the way I want to grow it out, that I might not be able to make or accomplish what I want to accomplish.
In my family, my hair is probably one of the kinkiest sections that is in my family, and so I had bad hair growing up. So that's why I got a perm. My mom was like.
So, can you share one of your first experiences with your natural hair where you felt compelled to change it to some degree, and why?
I moved schools in the 6th grade. I used to go to Framingham High, and I moved to Arlington High, which was predominantly a white school. My school in Framingham was very diverse. White was probably the minority. So when I moved to Arlington, I had like a small afro or whatever, and I remember the kids being so fascinated by it. And at first, like, it was okay, like all right, like, dumbass. But like, I thought it was stupid, but I wasn't that annoyed. But then it started to become too much, and then kids started to offer me like, oh, like, I'll pay you $1 if you let me like put a pick in it, and that's when I was just shocked. Like, I had never heard anything like that. And they thought, like, you see like the stereotypical 70s people with afros that have the picks that stick up their hairs, and they thought that that's just how it is when you have an afro. Like, they had clearly never seen it. And so that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I just felt like they didn't understand me or my hair. And then people trying to just touch it casually, not thinking anything of it, asking me how I get it like that. What do you mean, how do I get it like that? This is what it looks like. How do you get your hair to fall flat down like that?
I remember always asking my mother if she would let me get a perm. And she was against it, just wasn't for it. And it's not until, I think it was my 12th birthday, she was like, all right, you can do it for your birthday. And I was like, oh, lit, this is about to be exciting, I'm about to look different. And like, I'm about to look like the girls in my class who were like, the prettier ones, the ones that all the boys were showing like, the interest to or whatever. And it made me feel like an outsider, I'll be very honest. Like, I don't know, I felt like there was something wrong with me in a way. So, and I didn't hate my hair either, let's get that. I did not hate my hair. I just didn't have a problem with my hair. I had very like soft hair, it's curly, like it's like I didn't have that narrative of people, which is like I can't deal with my hair. I just wanted to be like the girls in my class. And I got my texturizer, and I was rocking like straight hair for like 2 years. I had some really healthy hair. I had like the bang phase in like New York and stuff, and my hair was like collarbone level, and it was just expensive. Like, I was getting scabs in my head, and scabs in my scalp, and it was just like, this is painful. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And a lot of my mother and I, we started to go through financial problems around my eighth grade. So one of the things that was revealed to me that you can't get perms anymore, and I was like, damn. I don't know.
So, I had dreads at one point. Some locks, they were about right here when I cut them. Started that journey after my freshman year over the summer, and then I had them for about another year and a half. So they were pretty cool. I was growing them, but ultimately I chose to cut them. Thanksgiving break of my junior year, chose to cut them off, chop them. And honestly, that was for a lot of different reasons. And I think the top of it all was really that I was receiving a lot of pressure from a lot of people around me, but more specifically my parents. My parents are Nigerian immigrants. So with that, there was a generational gap as well as the cultural gap in terms of how dreads were perceived for a black male to kind of wear dreads in a white America. That in itself was something that really worried them. I saw it. They were really doing it out of love. It was a fight back and forth kind of between me and them, but a lot of it was out of love, just in terms of they were looking out for me in terms of the way dreads are perceived right now, especially amongst black people as well as white people, but really everyone perceiving dreads. It kind of comes with a stereotype in terms of you might be a rapper, you're a drug dealer, you're a hooligan, you're kind of just a thug on the street, or someone who just doesn't really care too much about life. And overall, you're kind of seen as a threat to society because you're questioning, you're kind of going against the norms that white America kind of wants you to have as a black male with that shaved head, clean cut type.
So when I was first coming to Babson back in 2014, it's funny that I should even have to worry about this, but in the midst of the packing and putting things together, one thing that I thought of was, what am I going to do with my hair? You know, my hairdresser, who I'm so glued to, is not going to be anywhere near me. Where am I going to go to get my hair done? What am I going to do? Was the only thing that was on my mind. And in having conversations with people when I got here, I was telling them that, you know, my hair is naturally curly, but that's only something that I do in the summertime because, you know, I'm not really, I don't really like to have my curls out there. I'm more just stick with my hair straight because that's just what has been comfortable for me until some of my friends were like, why don't you just wear your hair curly? And what should have been such a simple decision was more complex for me, and
I guess it's practicality. You know, growing up, you get the little ponytails and stuff. I mean, so you're still relaxed, and now it's being combed through, and then put into all these ponytails. That's like so much manipulation for a 5-year-old. And it's cute, and you got your little barrettes, and you fling them around and make noise. But, right, but it's like, but my hair was also relaxed.
Yeah.
So it was just way too much manipulation going on. And so I'm like, since I was a kid, I was like, why is it that I have to wake up and do all of this, and anyone else from any other color,
and you
walk
could be
of life?
late for school. They would be like, we still gotta do your hair.
I see my girls with like thick ass, knotty hair.
And they just pull it back, and you're just like, I
But
wish
they're
I
still
could do
cute,
that.
you know? They're
like
still
orange
cute.
frizzy.
They just have bedhead, whereas like mine's unkempt.
Down the road, my small afro becomes much bigger. I used to have braids that went down to my shoulders, and my mom would always tell me that she was concerned that when I got to college, it would become an issue for me trying to get jobs or trying to network or trying to do things that would require me to be in more of a professional setting. And I never understood it. It really irritated me. And then I went in and I started to talk to my uncle, who was actually just going back to school and had some experience in internships, and he was telling me, he was like, you know, she's right. Like, you going like that, you won't have any shot. You know, you won't have to cut your hair for the job because you won't even get past the interview stage. And that stuck with me. And so I remember that in probably 6 months to a year before going to college, I cut my shoulder length hair off, and I just felt like I had no choice in the matter if I wanted to do certain things, right? I knew I wanted to go in business. I knew I was interested in finance, and I knew that that industry, as white and male dominated as it was, that I'd have no shot if I had that long hair.
I would ask you, if you were not going into tech, or you were going into something more corporate, like let's say your typical 9 to 5, whether it be finance, accounting, any other field, research, or whatever it might be, but if it wasn't a job field where you felt as comfortable keeping your dreads, like, would that change your mind? Like, would you have been like, oh, well, should I grow dreads? Like, should I not grow dreads?
I think so.
Would you have not grown them?
I think so. I think so, to be honest, because if it's a critical part of how I'm being perceived and how I'm being judged, even from the interview process, then I think that I would have kept my hair short. Yeah, I would have kept my hair short.
It's funny that you say that, because my previous internship, I went into my interview clean shaven, no beard, nothing. My hair was as low as can be. I wasn't bald, but it was still as low as can be. And when I first started my internship, I remember my hair was low, or low enough, and I had a beard when I came in. It was maybe slightly longer than this, but it was still a beard. But I noticed that every other male intern that worked there, there was either white interns or white male interns or Indian male interns, and they were all very clean shaven. And it didn't take me to like maybe my third or fourth week till I actually shaved. And I only did that because I felt as though I did not look professional enough. That I was the only one with a beard, or I was the only one that wasn't clean shaven. So that wasn't acceptable. Even though I had the shortest hair among every single person, I still felt as though the fact that I had a beard just kind of took all of that off. So like, I even, like, So even when I decided to cut my beard off, I felt as though like a part of me was not there. Like I always feel as though I look very different.
I felt like I shouldn't wear my hair, not that I couldn't wear my hair, because it just brings so much attention to you because it's so different.
Where do you think that feeling came from?
I think it came from the way I feel like a circus freak whenever I wear my hair in front of in the predominantly white environment. It's like you're just so different. Worse enough, you're already black, like so you're different in that way. But now you have whole different hair that people have never seen before, that never touched before, and now you're a petting zoo. And so it's just like I'd rather just not bring that attention to myself.
And then like when like people get their hair like braided or twisted, like I have a friend who like went to lab like the next day, she got her hair twisted and they were like, oh my gosh, like your hair grew so long, like what did you do? And like they said it in front of everyone, and everyone was of course looking at her, and she was just like, just twisted my hair, like it wasn't anything special. But so, and like that doesn't happen when like white people straighten their hair or like other stuff. So
definitely growing up, my cousins always used to like, whenever I got braids, they used to like love saying Stevie Wonder, like that was like their go-to joke. But definitely even now, like whenever I get my hair done, like when I have it natural, they complain. When I wear the braids, they complain. When it's straight, they complain. So it's kind of just like, what are you supposed to do? And it's like, oh, just wear your hair as it is, or like, why don't you make it curly? I'm like, because it doesn't curl like that. So I feel like even within the natural hair movement that we have now, there's definitely a hierarchy of like what curl pattern, like, oh, why doesn't your hair look like that? It's not combed so it doesn't look like that, or like that girl doesn't always wear braids or weaves, so like you should be able to do that too. And like the whole part of being natural is like it's whatever grows out of your head, not like you need to have 3 bead curls or something.
I was fortunate enough that once I was probably a month in, I just grew it out. And I didn't grow it out heavy, probably not as visible as it is now, but I wasn't willing to just cut and mutilate my face. Because when I cut my hair, it doesn't grow back the same way that all the other interns with straight hair grew back. When their hair grows back, they don't get the ingrown hairs as much and as frequently as I do. And so that was a real struggle for me. My uncle actually has permanent scars on his face from having to cut his beards for stuff like job interviews and job positions that he held that he can never get rid of unless he does some type of laser surgery. And still to this day, whenever he goes into the office at 38 years old, he shaves his face. So it's like, not only do I have to shave my face, I have to actually mutilate my face in order to be accepted by you.
And the European standard of beauty still has that control on something that is so important to us in the way that we present ourselves, that, before we have interviews and we go to class and we have important meetings, that we're up late at night straightening our hair or shaving our beards so that we look more professional. But who determines what's professional? Who sets these standards? And we've allowed these standards to have a major control over our lives for too long, and I don't want to be subject. I don't want my children, my daughter, or my son to have to grow up in a world where they have to alter themselves and conform to a standard that's set by someone who doesn't even care to understand what it's like to be them in this world, who doesn't even care to pay attention to them, who doesn't think that they matter. But they do matter. Their coils matter, their beards matter, and I don't want to grow up in that kind of world, and I wouldn't want to bring my child into that space either,
The conflict that me and my mother always have, she's like, Nia, I want you to have the best, and I don't want people to hold you back just because of your hair. And I'm like, Ma, I understand that. Like, it's much love and it's much appreciation, but I'm also at this point in my life is that if my hair is the problem, then it's not my hair that's the problem. It's you who's the problem, just because it's something that's uncomfortable for you. It's like, you don't get that satisfaction over me.
I think that's the most important thing, is just to understand that all hair is beautiful, and that includes black hair. That we shouldn't allow the Eurocentric, ideals of beauty to further, discredit our own beauty. Whereas that be skin color or hair texture, black is beautiful, and that includes our hair.
the main thing that's been going through my head lately, and that I want to make sure comes to fruition, is that our generation will be the one to change this. I know from my perspective that as soon as I'm able to, and as soon as I'm in a position to start a firm of my own, everybody can come to work with however they want their hair. They can come with long dreads, they can come with long beards, without being judged. Perform. Do what you're supposed to do. If you're in a client-facing position and the client doesn't like the way you look, we can move on to another client. That's something I hear all the time. Like, well, no, but if you're an investment banker, you're in a client-facing role. You know, it's a very traditional industry. You know, if you're going to close deals, you need to look the part. We can find new clients. We can find people that don't care if I have a short beard that's neatly kept. And so I think that our generation needs to be the one to change it if it's ever going to change. Unfortunately, I'm playing the role now, and I feel like a lot of people do at first just to get into the door, get the experience. But as soon as you have the chance, take that experience and change the game. Don't play the game anymore, change the game. And so that's what I hope to do.
All types of black are beautiful, whether straight or in weaves or in wigs or curly. You know, I feel like we need to let each other live. Although it is important for us to love and embrace our roots and what is natural and the way that things occur, what we were born with. You know, if a woman wants to wear her hair in a wig or wants to wear her hair in a weave, let her do that. If she can afford those expensive bundles, do that, honey, and slay those edges. But, you know, as long as, I feel like it's important that we know and we're aware of what it is that we're doing when we do it in terms of all areas of beauty, all facets of that you know, we're not allowing the standards and the pressures of this society to control us. Do you? Absolutely 100%. I wear weaves. I wear my hair natural. I wear my hair straight. I do what I want to do, but not because the white man or the European beauty standards tell me to. I do what I feel comfortable in, what makes me feel good in my own skin.
For people watching this?
Shit, fuck corporate America, bro. Honestly, I think the next trend is really everybody blacks need to kind of get up, rise together. Black entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, coming together as one is the only way to break a lot of the stereotypes, a lot of the trends. Yeah, that's my closing remarks.
Definitely, man. Thanks, bro.
Of course, bro.